If you feel that at university you're learning some stuff that just feels useless, it feels like you're never going to fucking use any of this dumb bullshit, if it feels like you're just not made to be there, you know, you're the type of kid who might not have done well in school in the first place and you're going to uni just for something to do as a backup plan. Maybe your parents wanted you to go to university, it doesn't quite align with you, you should do it. If you're thinking of dropping out of university, it'll be the best decision you ever made. And it was the best decision that I ever made too. So it wasn't actually that long ago now that I was still at university. I was driving there multiple days a week, pulling up to these classes, you know, going onto campus. It was a 40-minute drive away. And some of my classes were early in the morning, so I'd have to sit in traffic for like an hour. And really, it's not that bad. You know, people do have to, they have it a lot worse than that. So it's fine. But when you're going and showing up to a degree and you really just think it's a waste of time, it does something to your soul. It really does. It felt like it was doing something to my soul. So I'd be pulling up to these classes, you know, getting onto campus, driving my cool little car there. It was a nice excuse to drive my car, but I'd pull up to campus and I'd be walking around and I just didn't feel like I fit in at all with any of the cunts that were on the campus. You know, like I had friends, I had a few friends which I liked, but when I walked around, I just saw geeks. I just saw geeks left, right, and center. Now, I'm not a narcissist, or maybe I am, but no part of me felt like it belonged at university trying to be in some 9 to 5. I don't really want to call it a 9 to 5, right? Because I was studying graphic design and it is something I am still passionate about. I've actually gotten more passionate about it since I left university, which is very strange. But I was studying graphic design. I was doing class for photography and I was doing a bunch of other graphic design related subjects, and it was alright, but this photography subject was fucking grueling, right? Now, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, where you have a subject and it just sucks. It just sucks so much. It feels like the biggest fucking waste of your time ever. And so that was this photography class for me, which is actually crazy because I took so much of that photography stuff away, but in the moment it felt like shit. I had to go and pick up book equipment and then go to uni, drive there just to pick it up, drive back and do my assignments, and it made me so angry. I hated it so much, but that was ultimately the reason. It was on that week. I had an assignment due. It was the major project for photography, and I had to take some fucking stupid photos. And I was just like, oh man, I cannot be fucked to book this equipment and keep going with this shit. At the time, I was reading a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I was reading it on Kindle, and basically this book is speaking about Tim Ferriss and his kind of philosophy towards, if you would call it, a work-life balance, or better said, lifestyle design. And it was very interesting how this guy, Tim Ferriss, he built his company. He's a pretty successful dude, right? He got kicked out of school and stuff. He wasn't good in school, if I can vaguely remember. But he built his company and he built it really well. But he felt sucked into his fucking company and it was just appalling. So what he did, he changed his systems around. He worked hard to change his systems around, and it was to the point where the company can run on its own, and he only has to spend 4 hours per week working on his company. So that's that book, and I highly recommend it. But one of the chapters was about thinking about the worst possible scenario, right? And it was basically talking about risk. And so he wasn't explicitly talking about kids dropping out of university and going after the life they wanted. But what it was talking about was guys quitting their 9 to 5 and going for remote jobs like to Thailand and stuff, which is very common. But what I got from it was, yes, I should think of the worst possible scenario to drop uni. And so that's exactly what I did. I sat down with my journal and I made sure I wrote down a bunch of points. You know, what is the worst possible scenario? And I highly recommend you do this as well, is to get out a journal and think like literally what is the worst case scenario. And what it does is when it's out on paper, it lets you zoom out and it doesn't seem so daunting. It doesn't seem so scary. Once it's on paper, and then you write, what is even the probability of that happening? It might be a high probability, it might be low. For me, the worst case scenario was that I would tell my mother that I'm quitting university and that she would kick me out of the house. And unfortunately, that actually might be a reality for most people who are thinking about doing this. Like, they actually might run into lots of issues with their parents. But in my particular situation, my mother trusted me, and she's seen that I'm disciplined. You know, I go to the gym and I work on all my own projects outside of the university. So she had some trust that I would figure something out. I would make shit happen. But before I did that, I spoke to one of my friends, and this was so valuable to me because this friend, he's got the same mindset as us, me, you. If you're watching this video, most likely you have the same mindset, where we believe that we can take risks like this. We can go our own way and figure things out for ourselves, and we can also invest our money into our own education. You know, we can take our own path to greatness, which is essentially what we plan on doing here, right? So having this chat with my friend, something about having someone else validate your desires, if it is a desire, validate your plan. It's like your purpose, your gut feeling. It was so powerful. And it was on that day I told my mother, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And so what I want out of this video is I want to tell you exactly, you should do it. If you're thinking of dropping out of university, it'll be the best decision you ever made. And it was the best decision that I ever made too. Now, what are some things you should know dropping out of university? I actually have a little clip that I'll put in here. It was my first day. I might play a little bit of it so you can see what it's like. But essentially, since then, the biggest challenge has been keeping myself accountable. You're basically throwing yourself into the deep end here. You know, you've got no backup plan. There's nothing. It's just you and your purpose. And it is weirdly fulfilling. Feels awesome. It's so exciting, right? Maybe when you have to, it's not exciting when you have to tell someone what you're doing, what your plans are for the future. You have to get really good at communicating that if you don't want to look like a dickhead. And most of you will probably look like a dickhead, just as don't worry, I look like one as well. But it's one thing you should know. You should learn how to communicate what you're doing if you don't want to look like a dickhead. But fuck what people think anyway. Fuck what they think. Accountability is so important. You have to make sure you're getting out of bed at the right time, eating the right foods. You're disciplining yourself to get your daily tasks done. It's not easy. And I did struggle. I struggled with the doom scrolling, getting out of bed, keeping myself disciplined, you know, procrastination, all of that. And you're probably bound to feel the same. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? Who knows? It depends what level you are on your journey. If you believe that you could quit uni and actually use all of that free time that it gives you wisely, 100%. Go all in, balls to the wall, go straight for it. But if you're thinking about doing this, you have to be very real with yourself. You have to ask yourself, look, am I actually going to make something of myself with this time, with this free time that I've got? And it's very important that you don't bullshit yourself here. Just like I had to. I had to go into my journal, I had to say, look, is this just me trying to be lazy? Is this me just trying to get out of doing hard things, which was uni? It was hard. It's full-time study. For graphic design degree, it's not quite like other degrees, but it's still hard. It's still full on. So I had to make sure with myself that I wasn't being a pussy. And I asked myself in that journal, and I came to the conclusion that I could make good use of the time that quitting university would free up for me. So I highly recommend you do the same. But on an end note, I definitely think you should do it. If you feel that at university you're learning some stuff that just feels useless, it feels like you're never going to fucking use any of this dumb bullshit, if it feels like you're just not made to be there, You know, you're the type of kid who might not have done well in school in the first place, and you're going to uni just for something to do as a backup plan. Maybe your parents wanted you to go to university. It doesn't quite align with you. I'd say do it before you catch more debt, waste more time. Time is precious, guys. I literally only had half a semester left until I could drop out, until I could graduate with a lesser degree, which was Bachelor of Design Studies or some shit. Like, it was a lesser degree, but time is precious. And so if you think that you could drop out and go straight towards your vision and actually use that time effectively, balls to the wall, bro. Get out of that shit. It's so easy. Message the customer support at uni and say that for mental health reasons you cannot continue at uni, which is exactly what I did. I told them that. I made it sound like I was about to fucking... I don't want to be too vulgar, but it's exactly what I did. I pretended that something really bad was going on and I could not continue my studies. And that's what they did. They just cut me off. They just... boom, like that. And I was out. I was free. I was a free man to do exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And since then, it's been awesome. Since then, I've made amazing progress, both just as a person as well. It's been the main part. But in business, been learning so much about business and how to pull together the freelance dream with no qualifications. It's so damn hard. But we've made good progress, and I'm so glad that I dropped out of uni. And so I think if you have similar dreams for yourself, similar vision, I think you should do it. Make sure you be real with yourself though. It helps to write down and reflect on your decision, but this is your sign to do it.